All right, I think we are live. Let me just double check the volume's working. Check the mic, audio input. All right, we are in business. Audio works. Cool. Today we're going to be analyzing a subto deal in Peyton, Colorado. Oh, before I do that, for folks that are, I've gotten a lot of questions from people about how to create a nonprofit and what the benefits are for real estate if you start your own nonprofit. Today, I just released a new episode, and this is for a podcast interview I had with Sherri. Sherri's has decades of affordable housing experience, and she has her own nonprofit, but she's also advised and helped a ton of public housing authorities on and developers, specifically affordable housing developers, on a lot of compliance stuff. So check out the latest podcast here. It's right on the YouTube website, youtube.com/@Kent_HE. Leave a comment if this is helpful. And if you guys have any questions about nonprofits, leave a comment on the YouTube, and I will see whether or not I can get Sherri to come back on for another podcast interview, or I might just do a live for our affordable housing and real estate investing community so that we can get some of your questions answered. I get these questions all the time about nonprofits and how do you structure it and how do you do it correctly and how do you do everything properly, and most importantly, sometimes can you make money. So please make sure you check out this podcast interview. Absolutely amazing podcast interview. You guys should definitely listen to it, especially if you're interested in affordable housing, and especially if you want to think about how do you save money on things like property taxes on your bottom line. Again, this is not investment advice. This is all for information and entertainment purposes only. So today, let's look through this property in Peyton. Looks like it's in really good shape. There's no flooring. Man, barely even any paint, if anything. Looks like it's been freshly painted. Everything looks pretty good. This is actually a pretty nice house. All right, what's the deal details? So this property is in 7856 Coffee Road, Peyton, Colorado. 3-bed, 3-bath, 1736 square feet, built in 2000. Looks pretty new, so that makes sense. Purchase price $454,000. There's a mortgage balance of $406,150. Entry fee is $40,000, which includes 10% down and plus assignment fee, I'm guessing right there. Transaction, so you still got to add a transaction coordination fee and the closing costs. Interest rate is 3.125%. The PITI is 2149.96 with an HOA of $180 a month. They're saying long-term rental, this property should get $2,500 a month. So we'll see. Let's grab the county. So we already went through the photos. You can see that there is a garage on this property. So we're going to note that just in case we ever want to think about converting the garage. But you never know. It's an HOA. So sometimes people give you a lot of crap for parking on a driveway on the street. Let's see. Is there any street views here? Okay, there's some people parked on the street, at least not extraordinarily out of thing. And people still park it there on the driveway. So this should be okay. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to grab the HUD FMR. So we're going to Google HUD FMR, HUD FMR. We're going to click on the first link. And what I want to do is get the fair market rents for this property. In El Paso County. And what we're going to do is click up Lookalike FY 2024 FMRs. And then we're going to look at El Paso County. And the zip code is 80831. 80831. You can see here, boom. The ceiling rent for this property is $3,580. Wow, that's actually pretty high. $3,580. All right. I'm going to note that down in my Excel file right now on the other page, and I'm going to show the Excel to all of you a little bit later. So it's 80831. A 3-bed is 3,580. That's a really healthy rent right there. That's might be in a really nice neighborhood, I'm guessing. So, and then the 4-bedroom is 4,210. That's really high. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, the next thing we want to do is get the market rent. So I go to affordablehousing.com and I go into the owner section in the market estimator. When I plug in here, 7856 Coffee Road, Peyton, Colorado 80831, I click on 3 bedrooms, and this is the rent I get. Okay, this is interesting. So this is pretty big of a gap. This is going to be interesting and probably something that you definitely want to call the housing authority and say, hey, there's a huge gap between market rents and what the FMR is. What is going on here? And ask them possibly how do they take into account what if the home's an HOA community, what type of amenities might be in the HOA community, because if you compare this 1816, which is the market rent for 25 units within a 0.53 mile radius, and you compare that to the FMR, it's 3580. What's going on here? That's a huge gap. So even though the ceiling rent is 3580, the housing authority might probably come in and say, hey, you cannot charge more than 1816 in terms of monthly rent for your property, even though the FMR is in 3580 because of the rent reasonableness test, which means that just because the ceiling is higher does not mean you can charge the maximum of the ceiling amount simply because they are a voucher holder. You cannot charge with more than what the market is demanding for a rental. So I'm also going to get the bedroom count for the rents for a 4-bedroom. See, that's better. Okay, that's a lot higher. 2450 for 25 units within a 1.55 mile radius. So this gives me at least a thought of maybe I should consider converting the garage into an additional bedroom or something like that within the existing square footage. Is there a space in here for me to add extra bedroom? Let's see. I guess you can count that as room if you really want it, but then you lose the living room. Is there a living room? Oh, there's another living room right here. Where's that room? So I guess this could be your room. I mean, there's a couple options here. You could probably just stay within existing square footage, turn this into a bedroom, or you turn this little dining room into a bedroom. And then this way you don't have to convert the garage for a lot of expenses. So, all right, let's keep going. Next thing I want to do is get the crime index score. So I'm going to go tophap.com, tophap.com, and I'm going to go to the neighborhood section. In the neighborhood section, we have a crime index score of 32, which is a very, very safe neighborhood. When the national average 100, I live in an area where the crime index score is 90. So this seems like it's a pretty legitimate area, and that kind of coincides with it being in a gated community. Where is this? Where is Peyton? Peyton is northeast of Colorado Springs and southeast of Denver. Okay. Good to know that that's where we are located right now. So what we're going to do is let's recap really quick. We've looked at the photos. We've looked at the property. We know that's 3-bath, 3-bath. We know the deal details earlier from the Word document. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I'm going to start sharing the Excel so you guys can all see me plugging in the numbers in, especially since we already went through the market rent and that we also went through the HUD FMR. So let's kind of go through here. All right. For those of you that are watching on Instagram, please make sure you guys know that you can always go to youtube.com/@Kent_HE to get access to the full screen version. All right. So let's kind of plug in a number here. So 406,150. That's the balance remaining 3.125%. Let me kind of go. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah, let me see if I can do this. Let me see if I can share the entire screen instead. So those of you that are watching on Instagram, you guys can kind of see the entire screen. Let's see if this works. Boom. All right, let's see if this is a little bit more helpful. Okay, so now that you're going to be able to see that I'm plugging the numbers, 406,150. Entry fee is 10% down, so it's going to be the purchase price was 454,150, 454,150. So this is 10% times 0.1. Whoops. Down payment equals purchase asking price times 0.1. It's 45 grand. Does that equal 451? 565. 451, 565. 451, 565. All right. PITI 2149.96. So I'm going to do property taxes 2149.96 minus the sub principal minus interest. And I'm doing this because I'm trying to back into the property taxes and insurance. And I always add an extra $30 for insurance on this property. So you can kind of see that I use 2149.96 minus the sub 2 loan of the principal and minus sub 2 loan of the interest to get back into my property taxes. And that's how I'm able to determine what am I going to be paying for this property. All right. Monthly income rents. I'm going to start estimating the rents at 1816, and then I'm going to do another one at 2450. So I'm going to underwrite using those two rental assumptions right now for my property. Okay. Let's kind of go through here. 1816. Oh, there's HOA. Let's see. We're going to punch in HOA. HOA is 180. So I'm going to put in the 180 right here for my expenses. 410, 1816 is way too much. My rehab, I'm just going to set aside some money for painting, but for the most part, I did not see any other issues. 1736 for the property looks pretty much turnkey. So that only leaves me about $3 a square foot. So for those of you that want to get access to the spreadsheet, I've been very fortunate to have been given the spreadsheet by other folks, and I've been able to kind of adjust it and modify it based on how I underwrite deals. So please make sure you DM me your email on Instagram at investwithkenthe, and I'll have my team send the calculator to all of you, because I hope you guys continue to underwrite deals with me every single day. So 245415 total entry fee should be $48,000. So that means this should be $48,000 minus this. So that's 2585 for an assignment. It's a little low. Don't forget about closing costs. So that's going to goes that times 0.025, 11 grand. Oh man, this is definitely not a deal. The PITI. See, if this property got a rent of $35.80, this would be a deal. 3580. Not really, but much closer to a deal. 3580. If all of a sudden we convert a garage into additional bedroom and we got the full FMR 4210, let's see how that goes. 4210, and then I add maybe $20,000 to convert the garage, including permits and everything, being a little aggressive. That could be a 13.5% return. So that might make it worth it, a deal. But for me, this is not a deal. But let's kind of run through the numbers like we did earlier. So the rent was 1816. At 1816 rent, this is a losing deal at $925 a month. The cash on cash return is negative 16.9%. That's assuming a 454150 purchase price. Even if I got to 2450, and this is primarily due to the expenses, right? Because I'm setting aside 10% of my rent every single month for maintenance. I'm also setting aside 8% for property management and 3% for vacancies, because someone always eventually moves out. At 2450, this property is still losing $424 a month and is a negative 7.8% cash on cash return. So to me, this is not a deal. Even though the interest rate is really favorable at 3.125%, it might be a deal for folks that want to buy this home and stay in this home and live in this home as a primary residence. And maybe once the rents catch up, because if you look at how high the FMR is at 4210, that seems like there's a lot of room to grow for rent. Or if you're very familiar with this area and you just want to have a property there because you think it's a very high appreciating market and you think you can get something close to that, I might just give a call to the housing authority and say, hey, how do you guys figure out or calculate what the rental assumptions are? Because I see that the fair market rent is $42.10 for a 4-bedroom property, which is really high, but the market rent I'm seeing on the website is $24.50. That's almost this is probably the biggest gap I've seen. Well, there's also one in zip code in Southern California that I think I've gone through in Chula Vista that I've seen from like a gap FMR to what the market rent is. But man, that is huge. 616, almost $1,800 difference. That's wild. So this is one of the ones where before I buy it, I definitely want to do my due diligence, because it could be a deal for some folks. But for me right now, this is not a deal, because this cash on cash return is just way too low for me. All right. So that's it. And for those of you that tuned in today, thank you so much for tuning in. We go live every single day for our affordable housing and real estate investing community. We go through details. We talk about what properties they are, how to find the rents, how to calculate it, how to go through different assumptions, how to adjust the Excel spreadsheet based on the information that's been given to you. I'm nothing to sell you. All I want to do is hope that you guys stay consistent with me. Let's underwrite a deal every single day so that we can continue to get better. I think the rule is that if you just do 8 a day, you are going to end up being better at underwriting deals than like 95% of America. So this is why we do this. We are here. We are sharing everything that we're doing together, and we are doing this together so we can stay consistent, because the harder thing about real estate is that sometimes the boring things take up so much time and you just forget about, and you can really get discouraged, right? If you don't have someone to do it with. This is why we have a community, so that we can all analyze deals together, and we go through these details so that, one, you guys can just copy exactly the same property I'm doing today, and same using the same spreadsheet, and just verbalizing yourself so that we can all get better together. And you can start your own YouTube channel. What I would do is just copy the same property, same Excel, even same verbiage if you want it to be, but put it on your own YouTube channel so that when the time comes, you guys can potentially lead your investors down a path of saying, well, look at my YouTube channel. This is how I know this is a deal, because I've looked at 100 deals beforehand that were not deals. And sometimes taking the first step is the hardest. So let me take the first step for you. You can just copy what I'm doing. And I just want to thank you all for caring about affordable housing. Without people like all of you, I would never have the home growing up in it. So this is why I do this. I do this every single day. I stay consistent no matter if it's the weekend or my birthday. My birthday is next Sunday. So I'm still going to be underwriting a deal. So nobody has an excuse to not do it, especially to not do it alongside with me. So thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate all of you. Leah, yeah, no problem. I appreciate you. Welcome to Sub 2. I'm so glad this was helpful. And I underwrite deals every single day. Feel free to join me and follow my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Kent_HG. If you just subscribe to the YouTube channel, which I hope you do, turn on notifications and you'll be notified every single time I go live. But for those of you that are interested in nonprofits, please check out the podcast I just released today with Sherri. She's also in Sub 2, but she has a ton of experience with affordable housing, working in public housing authority, consulting for a lot of developers, public housing authorities, and even having her own nonprofit. I get questions all the time about how do people create a nonprofit and leverage it for real estate purposes. This is the podcast you want to listen to if you are ever interested in anything like that. I get that question all the time, and you have to understand, one, what the benefits are for nonprofits in real estate. How do you create a nonprofit that essentially is self-sustaining on its own, right? Imagine, I heard this great quote from, I think, Mark Cuban. He said, there's a lot of charities, but not enough charity. And sometimes when you want to do good with your money, but you don't know how to make that charity or that foundation self-sustaining, it's very difficult to keep your cause going. But when you're in real estate and you're able to generate cash flow and use the cash flow to sustain your mission, man, that could be really, really cool. So again, this is not investment advice, but check out our latest podcast on affordable housing and real estate investing. And this is right now live on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Kent_HG. You all have an amazing Sunday. I'm going to spend some quality family time today, and I will be back here again tomorrow. Nonprofit. Yeah, Leah, definitely connect with me and DM me on Instagram afterwards, and I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.